damage, that's a stereotype. I just belong to a total loser. I'm a good dog. So if you want a pet, adopt. And if you see Randy, tell him he dropped his wallet.
Let's turn over this log.
Yeah.
Whoa!
I like the big black ones.
I like the brown wiggly ones.
I like the green crunchy ones myself.
Whoa.
Get out and explore nature. There's surprises everywhere. Go to discovertheforest.org.
Anyone up for dessert?
When you earn your GED diploma, the barriers in your life fall. Take the first step and get free GED information in your area at 1-877-38-YOUR-GED or yourged.org. Earn your GED diploma and begin your brighter future.
Western New York Tonight is brought to you by Pruden and Cant Funeral Home, located at 242 Genesee Street, Lockport, New York. Murphy Insurance Agency, 111 Pine Street in Lockport, New York. And by Lockport Presbyterian Home, located at 305 High Street in Lockport, New York.
We won't talk about that. Welcome back to Western New York Tonight. I'm your host, Tammy Lee Demler. Joining me today, Dr. Gale Burstein, who is the Commissioner of Health in Erie County. Also welcome those listening on the radio because people are driving and listening to us too. WLNF, welcome back. We were stopped at the Sun and Sun Safety segment before we left, and I wanted to mention, specific to men, tops of heads. You know, I'm not thinking about that necessarily. I mean, but the men who might have partial baldness, unless you're wearing a cap or spraying your head, right, you're at risk.
Right. I mean, that's a huge risk too, because that's directly getting exposed all the time. So, I mean, men, especially if they're you know partially balding or fully bald, or many men shave their heads just because
they
look
cool.
good. Yeah. You have to think about covering your head in the sun, and you know, moles can pop up, and you know, usually people aren't looking at the top of their scalp to do any type of surveillance. It's not, you know, I mean, they just can't really see it very well, and so it can be missed for a long time. So people should just be careful. Again, protection, it's really easy to put on a cap when you go outside. It also protect your face. So that's really something to think about.
And tops of your ears too. Sometimes we forget about those. If you have a cap, it's sometimes your ears can be not protected. So
right. Put on sunscreen.
Gotta be careful for sure. What would we look out for? A suspicious mole, what would it look like?
Well, something that has strange borders, or it's a weird coloring, or it's growing rapidly. I think that's when people would be concerned. Something that just doesn't look right.
Or if it bleeds or
itches, better
to
really
get it checked
irritated.
out.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people are afraid of having the piece just examined, because they do take a little piece, right? But that overall, the benefit of that
right, and it's
sample.
also it's very small. I mean, the sample they take is very small because they're just going to look at it under the microscope.
Don't be scared. It's really important to do that. Moving on to different types of cancer. Again, talking about men, prostate cancer. Are we getting any better? Are our statistics getting better with prostate cancer?
Well, prostate cancer to me is a black box, because it's the challenge. I mean, so it's cancer, and it eventually could kill men, but it's usually very, very slow growing, and so the question is, when do you intervene? Doctor do no harm. Do you just kind of wait it out and see what happens, or do you take action but then cause a lot of morbidity from the complications of the surgery? So it's it's a tough call
right now, kind of out there, because we were here just talking about the fact that some insurance companies and PSAs and the controversy of how and when those are used and taken. So right now, again, more unanswered questions probably than we have answers for. Right.
I mean, there have been some articles written in the medical literature recently about the questioning, overdiagnosing cancer, and again, doctor do no harm, but I think we really need more data to accumulate to really understand the natural history of prostate cancer and really know when to intervene and when the risk of the surgery outweigh the benefits.
I see.
I mean, that's when we would want to take action.
Make sure that you know what you're doing. The knowledge is power, kind of having a balanced decision-making process. Digital rectal exams, though, are still always part of the screening process. I mean, women have their own types of screening processes, cervical cancer and pap smears. Digital prostate exams are really part of a routine physical, right? And men should expect that would be a good screening tool.
Sure. I mean, that's
Nobody
one
likes
way.
them.
Well, I mean, there's also benign prostate enlargement that can cause a lot of discomfort in men. So there are other things that exam is screening for, besides just cancer.
But it's important.
Yes.
Nonetheless. So even though it may not be popular or fun,
your most
it's
favorite
important.
exam, but
going right on to colorectal cancers. I mean, certainly we need to be mindful of the fact that as we get older, our chances of getting colon cancer increase.
Right.
Why is that? Is there any thought to, is it just my cumulative exposure to bad things, or is it just a function of age?
Well, I think it's a combination. It's so we have cumulative exposure to bad things and to toxins that can cause cancer, but also we all develop like little polyps or little growths inside our colon, and sometimes those growths can go awry over time and they develop into cancer. And so just because they've been growing over a certain amount of time, sometimes they can just get a little funky and turn into cancer, and that's why we need to get screened.
Okay, and so people who've never done it, what is the now recommendation? Is it 50?
Yes.
So, or if I have cancer in my family in that particular vein, now is that earlier diagnosis?
Right, then you can think about an earlier age, but you should talk to your healthcare provider about what your risks are and the recommendations.
Okay, and so what is it, just for people who've never been through it? I know that there's a lot of myths and stigmas out there about it. What is the colonoscopy? What is it like for most people? I mean, is it a sense of, is it an all-day experience, or is it becoming a little bit more?
No, I mean, actually, we're lucky in Western New York. There are a couple of centers where, outpatient centers where you don't have to go to the hospital to have this procedure. You can just go to to an office, and they're set up to do is colonoscopies, and it's maybe just a couple hours and you're done. And also people get good anesthesia, but it's not like gas like you're under, but the anesthesia most people don't even remember what happened during the exam, because the anesthesia that's used to make people drowsy also gives them amnesia, so they don't even remember having it.
That is fine with me and for everybody probably who has to go through it, because it's really, again, it's not a pleasant experience for sure, but most people would complain that the prep is worse.
Right, because the anesthesia for the procedure is so good. I mean, people are, they're knocked out, and then when they kind of like wake up, they don't even remember what happened. So the procedure itself, I think, is not what is physically uncomfortable. I think the prep is a little bit uncomfortable, but again, they've come a long way with the preps, and they're much, much more easier to take now and much more palatable now than they've ever been.
Really, the volume of liquid isn't so bad anymore. I mean, it used to be a gallon. I remember not so long ago, and now it's much better.
Right,
so
and it doesn't taste bad, and it's not so bad. I mean, it's worth it to get checked for cancer. We have Dr. Schratz on here occasionally, and he's a surgeon in Lockport area that everybody knows, and he does a lot of colonoscopies. And whenever he's on, a lot of questions about some concerns that people have that really just continue to be a myth that prevents them from seeking care. And they're really not factual or real, but it's something that the neighbors said down the street, and then this helps to kind of resolve that. But with that said, polyps, when you see a polyp, they remove it at that time, correct, for the most part? Okay, so you don't feel that. No. So they'll remove it, they'll send it to pathology, and they'll see what it was cancer, and then that'll determine, how soon you need to have your next screening. How often does the regular screening happen? So 50 is sort of the threshold. When is it repeated? Well, if you're at 50, if you have a colonoscopy and everything was normal, they didn't find anything to raise concern, then the recommendation is screening every 10 years.
Okay.
But again, you should really talk to your healthcare provider, because there are findings of your last colonoscopy may dictate a change in frequency or family history, or even ethnicity. It can increase your risk. So just talk to your healthcare provider about the recommendations.
Get screened. Men or women more likely to be at risk for the colon cancer? I mean, is there any kind of gender disparity? Because I don't know one if there is.
I'm not really sure. Just anecdotally, my husband's a gastroenterologist, and it seems.
No, just kidding. It seems probably not, right?
Right. I mean, it doesn't seem to be biologically plausible, although it seems like he may be diagnosing more men compared to women, but I'm not. I mean, that's just anecdotal.
It's just your thought. And plus, you have to kind of filter through who's actually getting screened.
Right,
so the more people who get screened are more likely to probably see that result and then get care.
Right.
Whereas there may be a lot of undiagnosed people who aren't getting care. So back to the men-women issue.
Right, but it's a risk factor for men and women.
Yeah.
But I think another reason why people forego getting screened with colonoscopy is the cost factor. People who are uninsured or underinsured are worried that I can't afford this. But in Erie County, we have a cancer screening program, and so people who are concerned that their health insurance or they don't have health insurance, may not cover the cost, they can give us a call, and we will, if your insurance does not, cover these type of screenings for breast or colon cancer, we will cover it for you in the county. This program will cover for you.
That's great news.
Cost should not be a barrier to getting a colonoscopy or mammography or any kind of cancer screening. And then people also worry, well, if I get screened and then it's positive, and then how will I pay for the treatment? Again, this program will pay for the treatment if your insurance doesn't cover it or if you don't have insurance. So don't let cost be a barrier for you getting screened.
That's excellent, an excellent advocacy point, because that would be a huge barrier.
Sure.
A mom or a dad who have a family to care for and they're uninsured. Again, give us your website for people who are now like, oh, I get it. So
right, yeah. Please contact us. We want to help you. It's www.erie.gov/health.
Okay, and a number just in case somebody doesn't have a computer.
Sure, it's 858-7600.
Okay, and before screening for colorectal cancer, we can do dietary interventions to lower our risk. I know you've been a big advocate for those.
Well, actually, let me tell you, there is another screening test that you can use for colon cancer if people are worried about having a colonoscopy. It's called FIT testing. It's actually a screening test for blood in the stool, in the rectum, which is a telltale sign of colon cancer or something not right.
But it could be a hemorrhoid too.
Right? But it's a screening test.
I see.
So again, it's a screening test. So if it is positive, then you have to have further diagnostic workup. But FIT testing is also an option, and you can go to your healthcare provider to get a kit to do it yourself, and collect the specimen and then send it to the laboratory in a mailer, or you can call our program and we can provide it for you.
Okay, and so again, that's just sort of a first tool just to see if there's trouble, because there could be a lot of things it could be.
Right.
So don't panic.
The gold standard is still having a colonoscopy, but again, there are many reasons why people may not want to do that. And so a FIT test is the next best option.
Okay, perfect. Increasing fiber, good idea?
Yes, very good idea.
Doesn't sound tasty though.
Well, there can be a lot of tasty options for increasing fiber. There are a lot of cereals that are really delish that are high in fiber. Fruits, vegetables, those can be so good and so good for you and have a lot of fiber, and that's a healthy option too.
And so the more fiber you really get in your diet, the better off you are overall.
Right, well, because it decreases your risk for cancer. It also helps you be regular. It's healthy just in terms of that's usually a very low caloric food source, so it'll help you with maintaining your weight, and there's nothing bad about fiber.
It's interesting because like the psyllium fiber you can get at Metamucil, I've tasted it, and I think to myself, who wouldn't prefer like a nice bowl of Raisin Bran over that? But some people like Metamucil and the fiber that they can just drink. Are those pretty effective? If I'm not into the tasty cereal, can I get enough through like those types of bulk laxatives?
Sure. I mean, you have to be careful. Watch what you're taking.
There's a lot of sugar too.
Yeah, there's a lot of sugar. I mean, I think they're probably unsweetened Metamucil, dietary products. There's also, you can take pill forms for it, but it's natural intake through your diet
It's
is really
better.
the best source.
It can be really tasty. We have a call. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
People are catching on.
Stump
here that
the
it's
chump.
on. Hopefully I can do this. Hi, caller. Are you with us?
Hello?
Hi. You have Dr. Gale Burstein here with you.
Hi.
Hi, good evening. I caught you kind of late, but I do have